What's up, guys? It's Marcus with Metaphos, and I had just gotten back a few days ago from YCS Niagara and played in the Ultimate Time Wizard event, where I did get 10th place, fell just short of topping the event. And originally I was going to bring you guys a in-person deck profile that I had done, but I figured it'd be better, since I kind of already have a deck profile with a very similar deck, to kind of just do a tournament report and a little bit of a run through and the changes I made. And then yeah, let's just get right into it, I guess. So for the deck, I did end up bringing the Twilight Fairy deck that I've been playing the past few weeks here. Most of you, if you knew me prior to me playing this deck, knew that I was primarily a Hero Frog player, but trying to get Christia to work and having so much extension is just super appealing, and you know, I feel like this deck can further be optimized. I'm actually trying some new ideas as we speak, but yeah, I'll get right into it. So first we have 3 Christia, yeah, boss monster of the deck, and then for the other extenders we have 3 Soul and Purity, 2 Enrise still. We decided to go with 2 still, and I think it might be something I'm willing to cut to 1 in the event, only because there's certain fiends I also kind of might cut down on, but it's just whether or not there's better replacements. And then the 1 Sork, yeah, nothing changed there. Best Lightsworn monster, the Card Trooper. It's a starter, it's a miller, draws a card when it's gone, just really good. Your other like fairy starters are 3 Alk and 3 Nova Summoner. As you can see, there's no Shining Angel in this list. Took it out. It's so rare when you just crash 4, leave a monster on board to drop Christia, especially with the mill power of this deck, and like your opponents aren't going to be bad and leave that there for you normally. So yeah, I like the 3. 2 Honest, so we're getting into the hand traps now. We have 2 Honest, Busted, 3 Herald, Gores, Double Fader, and Trag. Because your deck plays less actual traps, you basically have you have a lot of crackback, but you play 9 hand traps and the Treacherous, which makes it 10 traps. Then you also have the 3 Floodgates in the form of Christia. So it's better defense than I think people give it credit for. Then you have the 2 Caius. This is a card that was like really awkward for me this weekend. Obviously it's good when paired with like a battle floater and it's floating, or you have a fader in hand and it's good for cracking back, but you just have so many normal summons in this deck that like and so much extension that a lot of times you don't want to use your normal summon on a Caius. Yeah, I don't know, if I cut Enrise to 1, I can see myself cutting a Caius. And then you have the 6 Lightsworn still, 3 Raikou, 3 Lila, super good, best quality Lightsworns. And then this is a pudding idea. We started playing Plague Spreader Zombie, and this card was great for me. It gave you like a quality mill that wasn't just like a name or an archetype or anything like that, that like actually did something. So if you milled it, it was an extender. But other times you use an extender and it can be your normal summon, and that way you're holding on to Heralds when you need to make synchro plays. That was pretty neat. I definitely played again, at least in this kind of list moving forward. We have 1 Charge, 1 Heavy, 3 Recharge, and Treacherous. That has not changed. Keeping the spell and trap count really low, so your Alks always hit, is pretty important, and it gives you better quality mills. As for the side deck, there's a few changes. So first off, I only play 1 Consecrated. This is kind of a concession, like, yeah, you can mill it and you can't battle float into it sometimes, but because you play the Alk, it's like never gone. 1 Cyber Dragon, I opted to play the Brain Control on the side over the 2nd Cyber Dragon, because basically they just both go in when you go 2nd, but Brain Control kind of takes an opponent's card, so net advantage if you're going to synchro or make a tribute play. Just seems better in most scenarios. 1 Crow, I was playing 2 all the way up to the last minute. The day before the night before the event, I actually started playing this Possessed Dark Soul, and I'm so glad I did. When we get to my spread, you'll see this card actually did a lot of work for me, and the fact that it's a Dark Fiend, it actually came up for an Enrise banish once, so that was really neat. And then the 1 Herald, kind of a necessary evil given that this deck struggles against DDV. I already went over the Brain Control, so we have Mind Control. Yeah, I mean, you're playing a a deck with Raikos, so you steal hamsters, but then you also play 4 tuners. So yeah, mind control's giga busted in this deck. 1 MST and 3 Masker Restrict. Given that this deck doesn't really play traps, and you play the 1 Treacherous, your opponent, if they play like Dust Tornadoes, MST, Icarus, like a lot of times they're going down on those kinds of cards. So decks where you'd want to side this in against, like Frogs, a lot of times it'll be like they cut MST and heavy and they only keep in Rye Breaks for the Christias because you don't play much back row, and then this card gets to stick a lot easier. And if they're using their Raigeki Break on it, it means they're not using it on your big pushes or your Christia. So I like that a lot. Definitely good inclusion. Mirror Force TT and the 2 Decree, they come in versus basically all the back row decks. They're also attack and normal summon decks, all the back row decks. So yeah, all 4 of those come in. Same sort of thing, you know, if Icarus attack and Dust Tornadoes come out, because they know Decree is coming in and I don't play a lot of back row, then yeah, these cards have extra value. Extra deck definitely changed. I play 1 Chimera Tech, Cataster, so these are all the same. I guess I'll just go over the changes. Cataster, Wyvern, Armory, Avenging Knight. So I did get this and put it in. Thank you. And it came up like 2 or 3 times actually, so it was pretty good that I did. Black Rose, Bryonic, Colossal Fighter, Darken, Urquasis I put in. Didn't come up, but it was more so just like decks that generate tokens, especially with how aggressive the fairy deck can be. It's nice for that. Goyo, Archfiend, Stardust, Tempest Magician. This came up in testing a couple of times, though I never made it at the event. Just a good finisher, because Lila, especially now with the inclusion of Plague. And then Thought Ruler. So the biggest cut from the extra deck was the Mistworm. Didn't miss it at all. I can imagine myself cutting like one of the 6s, like Urquasis or maybe even Thought Ruler to play it. Might have to test around with that more. But yeah, the deck flowed super smooth. I had 2 brick hands the entire event where I like just couldn't play. One of them resulting in a match that I lost in game 3, and another one resulting in a match I still ended up winning. And the hands were like not necessarily the deck itself. Like one of the hands was like a triple Christia hand with Caius and something, and then another hand was a triple Soul Pal and with 1 Enrise and 2 normal summons hand. Then they weren't Millers, they were Battle Floater and Alchemist. So yeah, those were the only 2 weak hands. As for my rounds, round 1 I played 2-time national champion Hansel. He was on Dream Frog or the Fishboard Frog deck. He played extremely well. Game 1 was like pretty grindy, and he just beat me. Game 2, I believe I won after sticking a Masker Restrict. That was really powerful. Game 3, time was like kind of approaching, but I really liked my spot. It got to a point where he had dupe block, and I took his dupes with Possessed Dark Soul, and then I like stuck a Christia, and yeah, it was just really solid. Ended up winning that one. And then round 2, I versed Marcus LOL. He was playing his like Blackwing Vayu hybrid deck. That deck's super cool. I remember that game 1, he drew a monster heavy hand, though he did draw Whirlwind. And basically, I just had a bunch of like crackback cards like Caius, Fader. I remember I'd set like a Raikou, I had a Battle Fader, I had I think a Chaos Sork. So it was just like he started gaining advantage a lot. However, I remember his only trap, which got Lila'd, or maybe it was Raikou, I forget. I just remember I milled 3 and got rid of a return, and he drew a very monster heavy hand, but I had like a really nice crackback hand. So I ended up winning that game 2, or that game 1. He won game 2. He was just, I kind of bricked, like we drew and passed for a few turns, but he just set up like a board with like deck dev. He was playing his traps really well, and I just drew a, like, deck dev really didn't hit me. That was the game I drew the triple Christia hand. And he like spanned back a Gores, and like not a whole lot happened. He just won. And then game 3, I won. I remember turn 1, I set Decree and set Raikou. He goes activate Whirlwind, normal Shura, Surge Gale, Special Gale, and Black Roses. I'm like, okay. So, I mean, makes sense, because if he punches and it's a battle floater, then especially if he has a lot of traps, which he ends up having a lot of traps this game, if he punches and it's a battle floater, then I get to float into Consecrated Light. And if he punches and it's a Raikou, I get to either clear his monster or the Whirlwind. And then if I have Decree set, then, and he has a bunch of traps, he's just screwed. So he goes for the Black Rose play, and I at first it confused me, but in hindsight, I'm pretty sure it was correct. And then after that, he just had a very monster or a trap heavy hand. And like, I had like Lilas and normal summons, and like, I just start beating him down and like forcing him to set cards. At some point he flips Oppression, and I'm just special summoning monsters to burn life points from him. So I win that round. Round 3, I played a guy named Sadine. He was a super nice guy, probably the nicest guy I played all day. He was on Diva Hero. I remember it was just like the fastest match I had of the entire tournament. Like game 1, I milled super well, drop early Christia win. No, I lied. That was game 3. Game 1, he just doesn't like have anything going. The only monster I see the whole game's a Treeborn Frog, and I'm just beating him down like safely. Game 2, he just goes first, sets a monster, sets back row, passes to me. I set a monster. His turn, he draws, and he OTKs me. He like, I remember the end board was like Dad, Brio, Akaius maybe, and then he specials Bubble Man from hand and Miracles. He sets his Miracles, specials Bubble Man from hand, Miracles, and then Ab-Zero. Kills me. So I lose that game, and then game 3 is the game where I stick in early Christia, milled super well, and just won that way. So I win that. I'm 3-0 at this point. Round 4, I play against Bradley, the guy who goes on to get second place with the Teledad zombie deck. And I remember, so game 1, he wins. I just have a very subpar hand, and he tempos out pretty well. Game 2, I'm in a very, very bad spot where I'm getting really close to deck out, but I know I have 2 Soul Impurities in deck, and if I can get him to do any sort of damage, since he made it Goyo, that I could drop Trag, take his Goyo, but if I draw one of my two of my last 3 cards are Soul Impurities. If I draw one, I get to steal the Goyo, and it's actually enough for game because he's at 1700, my 1500, I think, or something like that. And that's exactly what happens. So I drop the Trag on second attack. If he just sits there with like a big defensive wall and like leaves Krebons on board, I'm pretty sure I just deck out. Game 3 is the game I drew the triple Soul Pal hand and Enrise, and then 2 normal summons, and I just get blown out. So I lose that. I'm now 3-1. Round 5, I play, I believe his name was Maxim. I might be wrong. He was also a very nice guy. He was on Frog Monarch. I remember game 1 losing. He goes, Special Treeborn, Econ, take your monster. Special Treeborn, Econ, take your other monster. Special Treeborn, tribute all 3 for Obelisk. I was like, what the heck? And yeah, I just get steamrolled by an Obelisk that game. I end up winning game 2 and 3. Game 3, I remember he has 2 blanks in hand and a board, and I'm just like losing the tempo war. And I'm like, you know what? I have a game shot, made Brio, discard all my cards from hand, bounce everything. If one of his 2 unknowns were a Fader or Gores, I lose the game. Otherwise, I win on the spot. I went for it. I won. I had a good feeling that he didn't have it, only because I had attacked and he had other opportunities to drop Gores. So the only chance would be Fader, and 1 Fader was also gone at this point. So yeah, kind of liked my odds there. Round 6, I don't know this guy's name. He was playing Frog FTK. I know a lot of my friends were terrified of playing him. And yeah, I mean, he just kind of had slow hands and gave me like 3 or 4 turns. So eventually I just dropped Christia, and then he just has no hope of winning. I win that 2-0. Round 7, I versus a Blackwing player. He was a pretty cool guy. I remember we get to game 3, and I'm in a completely losing situation. He's at 17 and I'm at like 13 or something like that life. And like card advantage wise, we're pretty similar, but he has 3 or 4 back row, a board full of Blackwings. I have a set monster, 3 back row set, and 3 back row set and 1 face up Royal Decree. And he goes for a Brio play, bouncing my Decree, as well as my other back row, just because I think he wanted his traps to be live, and like he thought he could checkmate me by just punching, and if I, you know, have to spend another turn setting cards, he was going to win. So he bounces everything, but my set is Nova Summoner. He punches into it. I float into Consecrated Light. He has to pass his turn. My next turn, I reset my whole hand and a Solar Recharge. This time, I don't shotgun the Decree. He goes straight to battle phase, because now he has no cards in hand after bouncing everything. Goes straight to battle phase, not thinking my deck, because game 1, he saw Treacherous. Game 2 and 3, he's seen Decree. So he's not thinking I play other traps. He attacks. I flip Mirror Force, clearing everything. We're about to go into time as well. So his end, he just passes his end phase. I go activate Royal Decree. He doesn't do anything. If he chained anything, I have the other Royal Decree. I draw, normal summon Card Trooper, mill 3, and attack for game right before time is called. So that was a really sweet win when I, you know, back was against the wall. Definitely thought I was losing that round. Round 8, I am at table 1 against a Vayu Turbo player. He was a pretty nice guy. I won't lie to you, it was really laxed between us, because we're in a spot where both of us think we're probably topping, because we did the math. We knew that like 3 X2s were going to top, and we're at table 1, and both of our tiebreakers were also X1 at this point. So we're both feeling really good. It's the same guy that Fraser Smith lost to, same Vayu Turbo player. So game 1, I just remember we get to a very simplified game state where he has 1 Caius gone already. He has 1 card in hand that he hasn't activated for a few turns after I think I treacherous him on his turn. My board is Stardust and Soul Impurity. I have no cards in hand. So I've Stardust, Soul Impurity. He has 1 card in hand. He's at 4,200 life points. I pass turn to him. Oh yeah, also he had used Bottomless on the Stardust, because otherwise it would have been game. So I Stardust Tribute, punch for 2k, he's at 22 now. Pass turn to him, and he draws, activates Brain Control, takes my Stardust, Tribute Stardust for Caius, banishes my Fairy, punches directly. I was at 8k though, so I'm like, okay, I still have a few turns, draw outs. He has 0 cards other than this Caius on board. So it was already insane. One of the Caius was gone. I also asked him afterwards. He said he only plays 2 Caius. So one of the Caiuses is gone. My next draw is Christia, which I have at this point 6 fairies in grave. So I'd have to draw a Soul Impurity or something to manipulate my grave to like make the Christia alive. And then after that, he draws, normal summons a monster, punches twice. I draw again, a second Christia, so I lose that first game in a completely like I thought I had him checkmated type of game. Game 2, I remember I win. I remember he plays in a way that like he only loses if I have Christia, and I had Christia in hand, like it put me exactly at 4 fairies. And then game 3 was very similar, where like he was like, well, if you have it, you have it, sort of thing. And I end up dropping Christia. I remember the game state is he has 3 cards in hand, 1 back row, and a set monster. No, he has 2 cards in hand, 1 back row, and a set monster. I go I've Christie on board, or he also has a Armwing on board. I go special Chaos Sorcerer, banishes Armwing. I then go special Christia, add back Alchemist, and I normal Alchemist. Game plan being, if he has Mirror Force, and I have Sorkin Defense. Game plan being, if his one set is Mirror Force, that Alchemist will grab back a monster, and if his set's Raikou and he pops Christia will go top deck. I still have Alchemist there, and there's like no way I'm dying from like 69 or 100 or 7k life. He then does Mirror Force me, so I'm back to 4 fairies in grave. I had my only card in hand was a Solar Recharge, so I add back a Lila. I don't use it because I don't want to mill a fairy, obviously. And then I just pass with Sork on board. I'm like, I'm pretty safe. He's drawing the 3 cards. So then he draws. He goes standby main. So now he has a set monster, 3 cards in hand. He goes flip Raikou, activate effect only to mill. So he doesn't pop my Sork. I'm like, okay, this is really weird. I'm assuming he plans to like Caius it maybe, or if he is going to brain control just for a synchro play, maybe something like that. So he mills exactly 1 dark to put him at 3 darks in grave, drops Dark Arm Dragon, and then he goes normal summon Plague, Synchro Plague and Raikou into Armory Arm, and then and then activates Brain Control. So that damage right there is 68. Maybe I was at 67. All I know is that it was 100 over game, and I just lose on the spot. He told me he top decked the Plague. So I guess there's a few normal summons that do it there. But yeah, just crazy way to go out, because top deck game 1, like only top deck possible to win game 1, and then game 3 a good top deck, though he probably had 4 or 5 outs. And yeah, I lose thinking I'm still gonna top. Everyone telling me I'm still gonna top. Though I will say Bradley, who went on to get second, loses in round 8, so he's X2. My other tiebreaker's X1, but I was just at table 1. I had beaten some really good competition on the day, so I was feeling really confident. End up getting 10th. Is what it is. I liked how the deck performed a lot. Like, I didn't feel like the deck failed me. And I will say there's a few misplays that I made throughout the day. One of them that contributed to a match that I lost earlier to Bradley in that game 1, I think. But yeah, other than that, sorry about the ad there, did not know that was showing. But other than that, that's the tournament report. I'll give some shout outs really quick. I want to give a shout out to Chili's. All the people here in Chicago, our Chili's chat, love all those guys. They make it super worth playing this game. I want to give a shout out to TGS, my sponsor, but really they're just like close friends of mine ever since I was a kid, and they just take care of me. There's like really nothing in it for them. They're just the best. So check them out on TCG. Link will be in the description. Shout out to the guys I stayed with. That's Eric Chai, Jason, Eric Shen, and Kevin Wu. We all drove up together and drove back together. And special shout out to Eric for topping. Also shout out to Frazier for topping. He was super supportive. He thought after my start that he's like, oh, it might be your day. And then after the last round, he's like, you're definitely in. Like, he was more worried about himself getting in, and then he ends up topping. So super happy for him. I think he got third. And then I know I'm missing other people. Shout out to everyone there who was just super supportive. All my opponents, honestly, no one was like an asshole, really. Shout outs to my wife, Bella, for not only allowing me to go, but she's also just like a major supporter of mine. And also she hears me yap about Yu-Gi-Oh all the time. And though she doesn't have a passion for the game, she always lends an ear and lends advice whenever she can. Oh, and huge shout out to Pudding, or Pascal. We talk about this deck a lot, and he also went X2. I mean, he lost earlier, so I don't think he really thought he had great chances of topping, but he helped a lot with this list, and it was completely his idea for the Plague. Some changes in the future, I definitely would play more Possessed Dark Soul. It just kind of synergizes well with the deck. And then, yeah, like I said, maybe Caius Enrise can come out. Might mess around with trying something over the Mask Restricts. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think of the deck in the comments. I wasn't planning to go to Anaheim, but honestly, when you get so close to topping, it kind of lights a fire under you. And so I did end up booking Anaheim. I will be at the YCS there. Super excited for it, and we'll see if I go back to my roots, or maybe try another new deck, or maybe stick with this. Let me know what you guys think of the deck. Appreciate all the love and support. We just went over 500 subs. Actually, we went way over it over this weekend with Niagara. I do plan to do a giveaway once we hit 1,000 subs, so stay tuned for that. I'll announce what that is when we get a little bit closer. Love you guys. Peace.